living with MS. The following are the stories of 4 people living with MS. They wanted to share their experiences, but it is important to know that each is different and that your experience may not be the same.
My name is Barbara. I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm married for 32 years, have 2 grown sons, retired pediatric nurse, and I keep busy with lots of gardening and painting and dog training, and I have fun. I was first diagnosed with MS in 2000. I thought that I would be doing pediatric nursing the rest of my life, and having someone as my doctor tell me that I needed to de-stress and not make my life so complicated, that was very upsetting. My dog's name is Gizmo, and he was given to us by our son, and I have him in therapy dog training so that he can go to visit nursing homes, hospitals, schools to help out people deal with their problems. So I felt like I still needed to have a mission in my life, and he needs to have a mission in his life, and I really felt that I can make a difference in people's lives, being that I had to retire as a pediatric nurse, and I still wanted to be involved in some kind of patient care.
My name is Dave, and I live here in Thousand Oaks, California, and I'm happily married of 16 years to Heidi, my wife, and I have twin boys, Spencer and Davis. They're 10 years old next month. I'm involved in just raising a family. I remember when I first was diagnosed, the doctor pulled me into his office. I'll never forget. He said, "You're a police officer?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I really think you ought to change professions." He said, "Do you guys have any kids?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Oh, good." He said, you really should think about not having kids, because it's going to add to the stress and your condition." And to be honest with you, I had to figure out where I was going to go. And I sat there and I decided I could either have this wonderful pity party from all my friends and colleagues all the time about this terrible disease, or I could really just buck up and move on. And that's the choice that I made. That's what I wanted. I wanted a family. I wanted to be a family man. And to be honest with you, I don't have time to be messed with MS. I want a mission.
My name is Heidi. I'm 34 years old, and I'm married to Ray, my husband. I work in sales. I've been in sales for 7 years now, and in my spare time I like to do anything outdoors. I love the peaceful feeling I get there. I enjoy hiking and camping. I really enjoy taking pictures when I'm out in nature, when we're out hiking on a trail. Pictures of wildlife around, or just pictures of the landscape, of the rocks, the vegetation, the flowers around us. I started journaling not long after I was diagnosed, and it was a way for me to, in written words, express some of the things I was going through that was very healing. And I wanted, as it progressed onward, to be able to have others understand, because I think it's often difficult to understand if you've never experienced dizziness or fatigue or numbness, to be able to understand what somebody living with MS is going through. When I first found out, it was a Friday afternoon, and I called my doctor, and when she told me, I remember I was just in utter shock. I was at work, and I just got up from my desk and left and called my husband, and we were both crying the entire way home. We called our families, and that was probably one of the hardest things to do, is to call your family and tell them, you know, it was like telling them that someone you loved had just died. It was like, you know, hey, Heidi has MS, and there's so many things that you don't know at that point, but it was kind of a very sorrowful moment.
My name is George. I live in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm a pharmacist. I've been a pharmacist now for coming up on 7 years. I've been married about 2 years, close to 3 years. I have 2 kids. I have a son that's 5, I have a daughter that's 13. It took me a long time to get married, but she finally snagged me. And I tell you, my wife, she lucked out. in that she doesn't have to do a whole lot of cooking, because one of the things I do, one of my, I guess, hobbies is cooking. And like cars have always been one of my hobbies. And as a matter of fact, I have a 66 Cutlass convertible. I was diagnosed with MS on Father's Day, 1997. I had just completed my first year of pharmacy school. And it was really devastating in that I felt like, okay, I worked so hard to get to this point, to get in school, and now I get diagnosed with this illness. During that time, the face of MS was wheelchair. So you kind of go through a little valley of despair. You kind of feel sorry for yourself. And I never forget, my mom told me when I was in the hospital and I was feeling down, she said, well, listen, you can sit in here and feel sorry for yourself, but the world is going to keep going. Nobody's going to stop because you have MS.
My name is Dr. Tamara Miller. I'm a neurologist in Fort Collins, Colorado, and the majority of my practice is treating patients with multiple sclerosis. What I tell my patients, I'd rather not see them in my office. I'd rather see them out and about in Old Town or in Fort Collins or Loveland, because I don't want them to have relapses. I want their disability to markedly decrease so they're not in a wheelchair when they're 50 or 60. I want them to be able to walk their children down the aisle when they get married. Now we have so many different therapies that patients are not dysfunctional like they were before.
At the time when I was diagnosed with MS, I started daily injections, and I had one relapse during that time, which just left me a little bit more disabled on my left side with some more weakness and numbness and imbalance.
I was on a weekly injection. It's an interferon, and was on that for about 4.5 years.
That particular drug would give me like a flu-like symptom. I remember having to deal with the flu-like symptom every week.
It never got easy to give yourself that injection once a week, but it was just something that you had to do to maintain your life. When Tysabri